Hi, I'm with Paris Naster. Paris, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Paris is actually an actress and quite an amazing one, more in kind of the theater scene, not like not on the movie screen. Also a composer and an amazing, I've read her blogs, amazing, beautiful, beautiful inspiration. I think what's it called? Inspiration from overseas.water.com.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
sparksfromoverseas.water.blog.
Beautiful, beautiful, amazing stuff. You should really go there and check it out. And I really hope you continue to write. And also, the reason I asked you to just join me here is because, I know you're a deep soul. I read some of your stuff. The content is amazing. And so the goal of this conversation is to really try to convey, can I ask your age? You're young, right?
Yeah, I'm 23.
23, so you're young, you're with it. You've been through the kind of public school system and I guess some acting school. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to college for theater.
Right. Okay. So
Mhm.
so and you kind of like you're in the world and you're also a spiritual person. And I think that's really critical. That's what people need right now. They need to figure out what is the meaning and the purpose of life. So without further ado, what would you say to young people? What is the meaning? I mean, if I'm a young person, I have this question. I got the world is a little crazy. I've got a lot of amazing stuff. We have the internet. But actually, you know, why am I here? What is the meaning and the purpose and the goal of my life? What would you say?
I would I would say to a young person, because I have brothers who are in their 20s like I am, and then friends who are still in high school and college trying to figure out what their path is. And I was just having a conversation with my brother yesterday, and he's currently self-employed, and he was like, I love this life because I feel like in the workforce you kind of have to sacrifice a little bit. Like you have to do what other people want you to do. You can't necessarily just 100% do what you want. And it kind of got me thinking, because I know a lot of young people now are really interested in entrepreneurship and kind of creating their own path. And I would say to a young person who's trying to find their path or their purpose is that they don't have to compromise. Like, they definitely don't have to solo life as is and only do what they love and what they care about and what they're good at by themselves, because it's so much better when we collaborate with other people. But to remember that, like compromise really is necessary, and it kind of helps you like find more parts of yourself when you don't just, if someone wants to be a news broadcaster and they only want to, talk about politics. I think it would be to a young person's detriment to only go on one path, and only be with like one kind of people, because like we're super multifaceted individuals, especially young people who like have so much yet to explore. So I would encourage people to really cultivate what they love. Don't sacrifice what they love. Don't compromise what they love. But don't be afraid to explore, and don't be afraid to be with people who are different and who challenge you, because it's actually really, really, really good for you and for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. And also, the interesting thing is that by nature, I think we're a little tribal. So what people do is they create this bubble. And now that bubble is kind of super confirmed. Like everything you see on Facebook is your bubble. Everything you see on YouTube is your bubble. All your news is your bubble. And they say a story of a Jew who was on a train and he's reading the Pravda newspaper, which is like this anti-Semitic newspaper. So they said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, well, here I get, oh, well, Jews run the world." And it's like, wow, this is an amazing perspective. But the point is, like, even on a personal level, even though I would say as a rabbi and a believer in God, maybe I fall a little bit into the conservative kind of worldview. But I have a friend of mine who's a psychologist, and he's like super liberal, and I love engaging with him. Once a week, we speak together because there are definitely more that we have in common than we have differences. No question about it. Like the basic Jewish ethic of love and goodness, everybody agrees with that. And that's a big thing, though. It took the world thousands of years to get there. So it's super important to know that we have much more in common than we have different. Now, okay, you may think a little bit like this, but actually it's so beneficial for me to hear his perspective because, of course, I'm living in my bubble. But suddenly I get another perspective, and that makes me think about it. I want to share with you something amazing I recently saw from the Baal Shem Tov. He says like this: if you want to know the truth in anything, the Baal Shem Tov was one of the greatest Jewish masters. He says, whenever you have a thought, think the exact opposite way. So let's say you're going to imagine, I don't know, I want to take something not too political. You're going to imagine, let's, I don't know, make one world government. Let's all be under one thing. Now think the exact opposite way. Actually, let's keep every country totally separate. And now, in between the two, you'll see the truth. Because whenever you're thinking, you're just focused on your perspective. But once you take the exact opposite perspective, it gives you the exact opposite. Let's say you got white, you got black, and now you have all the shades in between. Now you'll come to the truth. And the other thing he says, which is really interesting, is try to divorce yourself from what the pleasure this is going to give you. Because like people that are addicts, God forbid. So they think that, oh, I'm not an addict, I'm a this, I'm a blah, blah, blah. Because you're getting pleasure from the drug. Imagine the drugs gave you zero pleasure. Now what do you think about drugs? So these are two amazing techniques to like get out of your bubble. And so practically, I think what you're saying is like pursue your dreams, but don't pursue them against others. Don't pursue them in a hostile way. Pursue them in a holistic way. Pursue them not that I'm here and they're the enemy. Pursue them in the way that, okay, I've got a great idea that I want to share, but I'm also open to listening to other ideas. Now imagine the world did that. What an amazing place. Any comments? Huh?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. As someone who I think I've become a little bit more conservative in my values as I've gotten older and done my research, and tried to like be a little bit less emotional. I've found that a lot of people my age, and honestly a lot of people not my age, tend to be emotional in their thinking and emotional when it comes to their lifestyle. Like you mentioned, addiction I think typically is much more emotional than it is logical, or physical than it is logical. And for a while, I think like I know a lot of people who live very logically, and I think people have to be very careful to not become cynical, kind of in the way that you're saying that, like finding the opposite extreme. Like I know personally when I started to explore religion a little bit more and all of that entails, it became very black and white. And I think people who don't pursue religion can also be very black and white. Like people who have a more liberal mindset can also be very black and white in their way of thinking. And I think that can be so dangerous because if I know a lot of people refer to God or the universe or the creator or the source, so many people are willing to agree that we're all very, very interconnected. And I read that I think it was Rebbe Nachman of Breslov said that the greatest peace is between opposites. And it really is it's like not so hard. Like it's not so hard to look at people as like, oh wow, you know, you also have a mother, like you also had a childhood, you also struggle with things, you also are human. Like when it boils down to it, like you also have a heart and soul. So it's like that is so that's like the immediate common ground, is that no matter what our opinions are, no matter what our lifestyles are, no matter what like extremities we might like go towards, which I think everyone does in their own way, it's always balanced out when we like look in each other's eyes and realize that we're all human.
Right. Right.
You know.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking today about this idea of, you know, one of the big buzzwords is inclusion. But I think a much more important idea is respect. Because you see, the big problem of humanity is this notion that because I like belong to this group, this tribe, so my tribe has to be right. And so, you know, you think about many religions that they have a big thing of proselytizing and converting. Now, Judaism is really unique. It says, no, you don't have to be a Jew. You just have to be a good person, and that's okay. It's like, it doesn't have to be my way or the highway. And the point is that in Jewish mysticism, I think it's the key knowledge, because Jewish mysticism says everyone and everything is valuable, but we're unique. So you're a woman, you have talents that I will never have. Women are better at nurturing, that's for sure. Obviously, you could give birth. I can never give birth, even if I wanted to. I'm a man, and I also have talents that you don't have. There's certain things in the brain. The woman brain is more left. The man brain is more right. If you think about it, a lot of inventions come from men, right? And so I'm not going too deep into it, I'm not saying, but there are talents, and these talents are actually very complementary. That's why men and women are a perfect team if they respect each other's strengths. And I think that's the key thing. The key thing is not to look at another person and say, oh, you need to join my group. I'm so kind. I'm including you in my reality. But even that's saying, okay, there's only one reality. No, there are many realities, as many species as there are. Jewish sages say that just as our faces are different, our ideas are different. We all are, like you say, we're all very similar, but we're all also unique. And the key is to respect the fact that uniqueness is a good thing, because if everybody was me, what kind of a world would that be? That would be terrible. Not because I don't like myself, but it's enough. One of me is enough. You know, the world doesn't need two of me and only one of you. You're an amazing contribution, but just one, you know? And so if we look at the world this way, trees, even everything, one God, the stars, all these different things individually are amazing. And together, it's like this beautiful tapestry. It's amazing. And so I think that point, which is really understanding that each person is part of the collective and is a unique part of the collective, right? Trees are different to bumblebees, and we need both. And people, and you know, we all, let's say even say dogs, you know, they're a good combination. But if dogs were people, or all people were dogs, it would be a bad world. It's the differences and the ability to collaborate that makes it so special. So maybe just as a final message, because I think that this is my feeling, that the America that I grew up, I mean, I grew up in Kansas City, which is similar to you, but the America I grew up was a very, in a way, homogenous place. You can maybe say it was too homogenous. We had this idea, America, it's a great place, blah, blah, blah. And it was what's called a melting pot. That was a big thing, that we welcome people in, just do your best, and we respect you, it doesn't matter. But I think we have to evolve our thinking in a way that is really going to bring the world together. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do it, the only way that I see, a friend of mine, he has a UN NGO, and they really work very hard. They have people from different faiths and different races, and they bring them all together and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, when I was listening to all these people, they were basically all saying like, what a great idea my faith is, what a great idea this is. And like, oh, we're all here together, but listen to this idea. This is really the best. So it's only in Jewish mysticism I find that we're saying, no, we're all, like you say, number one, the first thing is that we are all infinitely valuable for being born. The fact that you exist, you're a human being, you don't need any other degrees. And I really don't like it. Everyone today is like, oh, they have this degree, they have that degree. And if they were just a human, is that not enough? That's the greatest degree you have. You're a human, a chosen person from God to be on this planet. That's great. The second thing is that you have a gift. You're special. And there's something that you have. And as soon as we understand that, I think we learn to respect each other, because that means your gift is not my gift. You have something that I don't have. And therefore, I have a benefit from you, from listening to you, from gaining your perspective, because there's literally something in you that I can gain, and I will never get it unless I really listen to you, because only you have that gift. And our sages teach us that, you look at everyone and learn something from them. If we could just look at the world, that every single person can teach me something, then I think that we would really love having conversations with other people. And this whole idea, I think the politics has really, because politicians gain by divide and conquer. And so that, all this kind of stuff, and I grew up before this all happened, so I just see it as being completely political, to try to make people think in a certain way, so they vote for a certain party, and that's it. So you've got into power. And that's happening all over the world. And if we want to really have a really good world, it's all about much more than inclusion. It's about respecting ourselves. I am a unique gift to the world by God, and I have something special in me. And part of my mission, I'm a little older than you, it took me a long time, maybe till I was about 35, till I figured out what my gift is, what I'm talented in. I have a blog, and I put out a lot of material on this, and that's actually a unique talent that I have, and I love doing it. Many people may, I don't know, kill themselves before they do it, but for me, that's awesome. I love doing it, and that's a gift that I can give to the world. But just the knowledge that each one of us is unique, has a gift, is unconditionally valuable. If we have just those three premises, I think the way we interact would be so much healthier. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so you mentioned suicide, and I know it maybe not seriously, but unfortunately, I have a family member, thank God, that didn't happen, but who works for a mental health organization. And I find it very interesting because this statistic is only for Kansas City. And I don't know if the number is completely accurate, but I believe it was 33% that suicides within Kansas City have decreased by 33%.
Oh, wow.
Since Corona, increase of Corona, which I find to be super interesting, because kind of along the lines of what you're saying of previously about connecting with people and knowing that everything happens for a reason, and even that person who might get under your skin, they're there to teach you something at the very least about yourself, if not about them and something greater. But then also of being alone, and a lot of people, I would think that being alone and being alone with your thoughts, and because unfortunately self-esteem is something that has lowered in our generation because of whatever, people say social media, comparison to compares to despair, all of these oh my gosh, I didn't get my degree, oh my gosh, I'm not a straight A student, oh my gosh, I'm not thin and beautiful, oh my gosh, all these crazy things that have literally defined basically, it's bizarre. But more than that now that people are alone, or they're spending less time interacting with people, they can really figure out what is it that like lights me up? Because I think our loved ones can be like, you know, this brings you joy, or like I've noticed in your life, like maybe to a young person, if they're like, you know, I don't know what my purpose is, to ask your loved ones like, where in my life have you seen that I've just like been in the zone, that I've like connected and I've like lit up?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be hard, because like it's like, oh, but is that really what I'm meant to do? Is that really what's going to make the most money? Is that really what society values? Is that really so important? And if it lights you up, it is important, it is valuable, because the more people are lit up, the more light there is in the world. And like, so I think being alone, and also like talking to loved ones and friends, and really like holding on to what it is that, exactly like you said, is like your unique gift, then people wouldn't be jealous of others. They wouldn't be, you know, angry or resentful, because they'd be like, okay, you're living your life, like you're spreading your own light, and I'm spreading my own light, and like we'll shine different colors to the world and respect the differences that that brings.
Well, that's really beautiful. I think that's a great note to conclude. And so I just want to say thank you very, very much. And may your light shine to the whole world, because you have a lot of it. And I really hope you shine.
Thank you. And you as well. I really appreciate you like prompting this conversation. It was awesome.
Okay, great. Take care. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.